Iya, Mbak.
Yes. It takes a minute to load. So I entitle my presentation today as the anthropology of waste in the risk society. So the anthropology of waste in the risk society. To understand that, of course, we need to know what anthropology of waste is, what is risk society, and how are they in the context of the digital scene in Asia or in Southeast Asia in particular, because we are in the summer course of digital Asia, okay? I want to contextualize this issue in the context of digital scene or the digital Asia. All right, so this is my anthropology of waste, okay? Just to give you an overview. The anthropology of waste is the study about waste and its related issues using anthropological techniques for data gathering, which is of course heavily based on finding empirical basis as the primary data, which is of course employing anthropological perspectives in its analysis. And the study uses inductive approach in building our argument or even our theory. This is my study. This picture is in a sanitary landfill. I took this picture in Piungan in Bantul district in Yogyakarta. This is a final sanitary landfill. In your left side, this is me and also my German research partner. So this is a collaborative research project. I believe that you have read our piece or article beforehand. So this landfill or this sanitary landfill is located in Yogyakarta, special region in Java Island, Indonesia. And just to give you an overview, Indonesia hosts 276 million people, according to the estimations of the United Nations data in 2021. This number is projected to continue to increase, and to be noted, the productions of waste is also parallel to the number of its producers. Who are the producers? The producers are human beings, as also briefly explained by Dr. Pusat in his presentation just now. Here, Yogyakarta produce 500 tons of garbage each day, while only 30 tons are transported to these final sanitary landfill. All right, so that was for your impression. Our study, my study, reveals that plastic waste is really, truly a disaster. This is really an environmental disaster. It is not only damaging our visual sense or damaging our aesthetical dimensions of the environment, not only damaging our immediate surrounding, but the scale of its damage, its impact is really global. It's indeed global, creating environmental crisis which is embedded in the dynamics of geology, economy, politics, history, society, culture, religiosity, technology, etc. Here you can see there are, at least when I conducted this research together with Yuri Slay, my German research partner, there were more than 1,000 cows consuming this waste, not to mention about the plastic waste. All right, so this is only a micro example of the waste issue in Yogyakarta, in Indonesia. Let us move to a bigger picture, a bigger context. As briefly also mentioned by Pisat, Dr. Pisat, as Asia is top producer of plastic waste, okay, we will focus on the plastic waste issues right now. China is the top producer. Indonesia is the second one. The Philippines ranked number 3. Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia ranked number 4, number 5, number 6. Okay, so Southeast Asian countries are the top rank of the producers of plastic waste in the world ocean. Okay. Here, the plastic that we produce in every day, for example, Indonesia produces 9 million tons of plastic per year, 9 million tons of plastic per year, in which 3.6 million of them end up in the ocean. You can see that there are concentrations of plastic in the world ocean, on the ocean, here in the North Pacific, North Atlantic, okay, in Indian Ocean, in South Atlantic, in South Pacific. So there are floating garbage. In fact, it's not only plastic though, okay, so it's undifferentiated of wastes, floating waste in a picture of this, maybe. And this one is the Pacific garbage patch, unstoppable waste in the Pacific garbage patch. So what I want to share with you is the what is it? The complexity and how serious our environmental crisis is related to waste issue. If you can imagine the volume of this plastic, which is drilling on the surface of the ocean, is equal with the 5 biggest islands in Indonesia. So making it a Great Pacific garbage patch, a giant island of floating garbage. But the question is, why Asia becomes top polluters of plastic waste in the world ocean? Maybe you say because of littering habits, our littering habits, especially in Indonesia, we do litter waste. Okay. Due to the huge population, because as explained by Pisat previously, more people means more waste. Maybe because of our consumptive behavior, uncontrollable consumptive behavior, which creates a lot of waste. And of course, the poor infrastructures of waste management. All right, let's take this visual as an example. So this is just an example, a micro example on how Indonesia deal with plastic. So I took this picture in Cepuri, in Parangkusumo, in the southern coast of Java, in Yogyakarta. This is a common situation, not only in the south coast of Java, but everywhere, almost everywhere in Indonesia. So if those if those wastes are not burned or collected by trash collectors or dumped into landfills, if they are not burned or dumped into landfill, they are just left to pollute the waterways or to blow into the vortex of garbage and end up into the ocean. This fact is surely very alarming, very pressing issue, as we know that plastic may only take hundreds of years to decompose. It's more than 450 years to decompose as microplastic. So this really creates a growing pain on how plastic ends up inside marine animals. In your right side is a whale in Wakatobi, and in your left side is fish full of plastic debris. It is a painful reminder that current consumptive behavior are causing irreversible harm to the environment. So, this whale, pause, yeah, can pause this whale. It is found that 13 pounds of plastic and other kind of waste, yeah, in the stomach of this dead whale. And again, this is a truly reminder for us human beings that human being has threatened the non-living being. Yeah. The other part is the micro that we consume. So this is really painful. We might blame ourselves, but again, wait a minute. We should take at the bigger picture of this complexity. Okay. Yeah, this is just a reminder about the microplastics which enter the food chain, right? Where this plastic are formed from our daily consumption, of course. But again, in fact, the world's richer nations have been exporting waste for at least 25 years, particularly plastic waste that is sorted for recycling. So I was interviewed by one media, and they keep blaming Indonesia as the top producers of plastic waste in the ocean. But I would rather see it in a bigger picture. You know, the complexity of these issues is really. It's really serious because it is not only Indonesia, it is not only Southeast Asian countries or China, but in fact, those richer countries as well, they have exported their wastes, their plastic wastes for 25 years now, particularly plastic wastes, which is for recycle, but a lot of them cannot be recycled. Okay, so they put their waste in a faraway land, yeah, for the sake of their comfortable living in their own country. All right. In the media, if you may also see, yeah, Indonesia, China has been the spotlight as the main polluters of the plastic waste in the ocean. But in fact, that is also the fact that we should take an inclusive approach in seeing a bigger picture of that. And we know that the 4 biggest exporters of plastic waste are Germany. I lived there for 4 years in Germany. It's a really comfortable country, very clean, very green. You know, it's like heaven on earth. The UK, the US, and Japan. They ship a total of approximately 650,000 tons of plastic waste to Southeast Asian countries. Apart from those big 4 exporters of plastic waste, we also have other states, Canada, Mexico, as well as Australia. This is a container filled with plastic waste from Australia, found out in Malaysia's port in Klang Island. So what I want to share with you is the complexity of this waste issue. You know, even though my study is a case study, but still this micro study should also entangle with a bigger global context of waste issue. So if those above business, okay, this is my article. Okay. if those above business focus on the economic or maybe political economic aspects, I'm interested to understanding the political ecology, which provides critics and alternatives in the interplay between the environment and the political, economic, and social factors. And I want to pick up one theory, which is very helpful in framing and analyzing this case study of waste issues, this maritime anthropogenic disaster of plastic waste with risk society theory. Okay. Why taking risk society as a framework? Because this is due to the fact that risk society is the most widely discussed framework by social scientists as an analytical tool in seeing the negative consequences of modernity in the aspects of technology, politics, economy, globalization, mobility, and ecology. Something that we are talking today. And this is very helpful indeed to see the negative impacts or the negative consequences or the underside of modernity. Okay, so this is Ulrich Beck, a sociologist from Germany. So he's the one who coined the term risk society in 1992. He argued that in an advanced industrial society, the social productions of wealth is accompanied by the social production of risk. He further argued that the intertwining elements of modernity, such as industrialization, international mobility, and globalization, have created a society susceptible to a variety of new risks and unforeseen consequences in a global scale. Okay, so the negative impacts, the negative consequences of modernity is not only in a local scale, but this is in the global scale. That what we should underline. All right. You can see the notion here. You can see the notions of modernity. You can see the notions of risk society. I mean, is in fact synonymous with modern society, with high industrial society. So rich society is maybe understood by paying attention to the notions of what modern society is, or what high industrial society is. Okay, and the activities, the analyzation of the society creates a reflective is not something, thinking and deep thinking about something. No, it's a reflective, it's a mirror back to us, it's backfire, the boomerang effect. Okay, that is the same as risk. So the risk is producing a boomerang effect, so reflective effect to the society. Now, this is the visualization. Maybe we can start from here. Modernization, okay, demand developments, okay. As a consequence, there are more and more people living in the urban areas. They have massive industrialization, and this massive industrialization produce risks with unforeseen effects with the global scale. Okay. So in a nutshell, society, modern society and risk society is just the other side of the same coin. The question is, how are we in this following context? Okay. Wait a minute. We have the Anthropocene in the age of man, the Capitalocene in the age of capital. Okay, both are included in the modern society. And now my question is that how are wastes in the context of the age of the digital or the Digitalocene? Yeah. The Anthropocene, of course, the anthropocentric condition. Yeah. The Capitalocene is, of course, concentrating on the capital, and the Digitalocene is the age of the digital. As we have learned so far, okay, e-commerce retailers across Asia have seen explosive sales growth during the pandemic crisis. Okay, if we only pay attention to the corona pandemic, okay, there are an explosive sales growth during the pandemic as consumer under lockdown starts online, okay, including each of us. Market research indicated that more than 50% of consumers now had more plans to shop online as a result of the pandemic, okay, compared to just before, only 17% who said that they would make few digital purchases. Okay, Shopee, we are one of the customer from Shopee. Yeah? Shopee has reaped the benefits of the pandemic and other online platforms, of course, with its gross merchandise value jumping 74.3%. This is really huge. And the total number of orders on Shopee reached 429.8 million in the first quarter, compared to 203.5 million for the same time period last year. It really increased. Again, digital economy and digital consumers, an estimated of 70 million more people shop online in 6 Southeast Asian countries since the pandemic began, and projected to reach 380 million online shoppers by 2026. So we can see that the trend is likely to continue in the coming futures. The report, which surveyed more than 16,000 people in Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam, projected the number of digital consumers in Southeast Asia will reach 350 million by the end of this year. Only the end of this year, in 2021, not 2026. Okay, it's already 350 million digital consumers. And we also know that due to the fact that Southeast Asia's largest economy continues to see the highest growth rate, its digital consumer population is projected to grow around 15%, from 144 million in 2020 to 165 million in 2021. We can sum up that Southeast Asia's rapid digitalization during the pandemic proves the immense opportunity in the region's digital economy. But wait a minute, what can we learn from this? Economy create risk for the ecology. What kind of risk that we have? Okay. So the next question is that to be more specific, okay, to be more clear, I want to ask you, what is the implications on the projections of waste of this e-commerce, the implications of us being digital consumers? What are the implications? So, how plastic, in this case, I want to pay attention to the issues of plastic waste, how plastic waste become increasing, skyrocketing, it's worrying in increase. Here, for example, in Bangkok, the daily average of 2,115 tons of single-use plastic waste per day rose to more than 3,400 tons a day in April only. Okay, this one we don't talk about. We don't talk about plastic bag, but plastic waste in general. Okay, this mask is also contained with plastic. So Indonesia accumulated more than 1,100 metric tons of medical waste, infectious waste, from March to June, only from March to June in 2020. This is a report by the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. So my other question is that if the pandemic continue to transform the way we live, the way we can, what are the implications? What are the other implications? If we pay attention to the digitalization, it seems to me that it creates larger problems in regards to the projections of plastic waste, because it is fueling Asia's plastic crisis. Because maybe some of us also believe that disposable materials are more safe, more hygienic, so that most individuals, not only in Indonesia, but also in every nook and corner of the world, use a disposable mask in this case. Of course, these facts have reversed the hard work to reduce plastic waste before COVID-19, as avoiding single-use plastic was becoming the norm worldwide, including in Indonesia or in Southeast Asia. The behavior of avoiding single-use plastic was becoming more and more habitual in our society. Apart from that is our growing consumptive behavior. So the question is that how to develop adaptive strategies which may reduce risk and enhance our community's safety and resilience. Okay. I think there are larger problems ahead. So prior pandemic, okay, we have serious pressing issues about this productions of plastic waste. The 3R, reduce, reuse, recycle, probably only focus on the third R, recycle, because it has economic aspects. The reduce and reuses is hardly neglected, right? So the COVID-19 pandemic is far more than a health crisis. It continues creating global ecological crisis. It's not only, so again, it is not only our immediate surrounding, okay, but our distant surrounding. It's a global ecological crisis. And to overcome this, to my view, we have to reflect on the excessive industrialization, on the exploitations of nature that is extremely destructive, Okay, our nature has been pushed to its limit. So we have to rethink about our consumptive behavior that ends up becoming garbage. We should rethink on the failure of the institutions to control the risks they create, such as the global ecological crisis. Okay, this plastic waste emergency, this PPO waste emergency, in which if our business run as usual, okay, if it is not handled properly, we will have the impacts. We will have the boomerang effect when the mother nature asks the right back. It will cause a black swan effect, a new risk which endanger our society. All right. So last but not least, this is just my concluding remarks. Plastic waste is really a big issue, very complex. We cannot blame only one single society, one single country to handle that. Okay, we should have an inclusive approach to see the complexity of this issue. And plastic waste is a disaster. It is an anthropogenic planetary health issues in the making if we do our business as usual. All right, so those are the references that I use. You may take a look on that later on. And I think we should stop here for the first session. I welcome any concern, any questions from you guys. Anyone to raise the hand, or should I?
Yeah, Prof. I write my question on the preview. I will just read. My first question is thank you for the presentation.
Danilo, is it?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Thank you for the presentation. I was really surprised. Really to see about the co-eating plastic. This make me rethink because in Indonesia, as a majority Islam country, there is like this issue about you do not eat like pork because it's haram, because it's dirty. But you eat cow, this dirty now. I mean, should be haram also cow. We'll think about that. But the question is, plastic was initially created to allow the production of aquarium made from animals, just elephant. So was create plastic for resolve a problem. Now the problem is the plastic. What solution we have? How we can we can change the use of plastic with what? I mean, we can just eliminate plastic. We need to make a substitution of the plastic. What we have, how we can do that. The second question is about Yogyakarta. Yogyakarta is a special region, so it's allowed the sultanate under the king. So what they do for policy research garbage, they have just like some special program for make recyclage garbage, or just they don't think about that. Thank you. This is my question.
All right. If I may directly respond to your question, yes, this is really concerning. So this plastic issue is really concerning. The inventions of plastic, of course, was meant to help to reduce the consumptions of paper at that time. But now it creates a disaster. It becomes a disaster, a global disaster. Okay. It affects human being. Okay. It fired back to human being, not only, in fact, not to human being, but to other living being, to the animal, to the marine ecosystem, something like that. So this is really, really serious. We ran out of time, I think, to address this issue. You said that we can reduce the use of plastic. In practice, It is hardly difficult. Okay, so the 3R, reduce, reuse, recycle, is only sometimes it's only a slogan. We only pay attention to the last one, to the last R, recycle, because it has economic aspects. Okay, people may have economic benefits from recycling this waste issue. That is why, for example, Asia or South Asian countries import plastic waste from richer country, or the other way around, if you want to put it. Okay, it seems that this is unjust if we say we import this plastic waste from richer country. But in fact, as I have shown you from my presentation, 25 years now, those rich country with policy, with green policy, okay, in fact, they have exported their wastes. Okay, let's say not exported, they have thrown their waste, this plastic waste, to us, okay, to South Asian countries, to Asia, for example. Okay, as a consequence, they have a very, again, very comfortable, very clean, very free from pollution. The country is free from pollution, something like that. But is it just? Is it fair enough? Okay, we are only talking about plastic waste. We are not talking about electronic waste. Okay, for example, Germany, they exported their electronic waste to Africa. Of course, Germany, as a consequence, as a result, Germany has a very clean environment. They also have a very, environmentally friendly behavior. Okay, but it is not enough, I think. We should have a bigger picture. If you remember, one kid from Surabaya have complained to the ambassador of Germany last time, asking that they should take their plastic waste back to Germany and not stop exporting this plastic waste to Surabaya, to my country. Okay, please do your business in your own country. Maybe they have lack of landfill, they have evidence, as we know so far. Okay, about religion. In fact, there are many local initiatives which also ask religious leaders, okay, to also deal with waste issues in Yogyakarta. So there are green initiatives also from Green Islam, from Green Catholic, from many other religious affiliations, in fact, in Yogyakarta. So there are a lot of things that we have done so far, but it is not enough. The government should hold the major player for mitigation, yeah, something like that. All right, hello, I don't know if I have
No, thank you. I completely agree. Should also, this policy also is now more complicated, about you say about German send garbage in the whole country, and was really the reflection of what just the CEO of Amazon said when he go to the space. We need to send trust will keep they just will fix the problem. They don't want fix like a change. They just want send the problem in another place. Was the developed country yesterday, now is the space. So it's completely.
Next question is from Taufik. Maybe you can deliver your questions directly.
Yes, Bu Fisya, I want to reiterate my question.
I cannot see your face, by the way.
Sorry.
Please turn on your camera.
Here, Bu Fisya, I want to ask why government, especially in Indonesia, often tend to only reserve a small amount of budget to waste management. I know this is a critical problem, and how to encourage them to maximize their budget to maintain a good waste management effort. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mas Taufik. Well, in fact, this is a difficult question because so far the concern of the government to have a zero waste in 2050 is in fact has been sounded to us, to us not only in Indonesia but also to the world, in fact. But again, the pandemic came like sudden. This corona pandemic came like a sudden, and this makes creates a larger problem on how we handle waste issue. Prior to COVID-19 pandemic, the management and the concerns of the government is really minimum, I would say. Okay, so we individual people, the neighborhood is responsible for our own garbage that we produce. Okay, the lack of funding, the lack of concern from the government is also creates, very serious issue, of course, in Indonesia. This is not only about the awareness of the people to be friendly behaviorally, okay, to have a friendly behavior manner towards the environment, but again, the government should hold a bigger role in for mitigation, for addressing this waste issue in Indonesia. But what I want to share with you is not about waste management, in fact, but about this, this anthropogenic maritime disaster. We should reflect on that. We should pay attention to the risk that we are making. So our individual role, if our society's role, the government's role, that we are creating the risk for our own self. Boomerang effect from this plastic waste that I want to put forward this time. Mas Arif, I hope I have answered your question.
Okay, so the emphasis is to increase the awareness in Indonesia, people in Indonesia.
I agree with you, but this is not only this. This is not only this awareness in individual basis that we should strengthen the responsibility of the government as well. We should also ask more and more to the government. So it should take what is it? We should take it together to handle
synergies.
This. Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you. It's enough.
You're welcome. If you have another question, please raise your hand. Did you ever thought about this risk on the making? The risk that we are producing this
now look like maybe 5 years ago or 10 years ago, when you speak about this environment change, it was more like, you know, inside your community, you do not share about this on community, but now it's more strong. For example, on food security, on I think about Europe, for example, we know we now speak about how we need to change our type of food, because these types of food we use is not good for the environment. For example, our composed of meat, pasta, or everything is very expensive. It's very expensive in terms of water. So now we are seeing how we need to change our habitude. For example, we are start to think about to make pasta from insect, derived from insect, or maybe I think this is really
this has been a debate, the debate about the cause of this pandemic, corona pandemic, this Sudanese cause is demand us to rethink about our relations with the environment, our relations with animals, something like that. We are having our risk right now. So I believe that this corona pandemic is in fact the accumulations of risk from modern society, because modern society treat our environment, our nature exploitatively. Our planet has been used so widely so that our physical environment has continued to be pushed to its limits. So this consumptive behavior, this industrial activities have threatened our nature unsustainably. So that creating this boomerang effect. For example, this very real example is about the food chain. So this microplastic now served on our desk, as part of our dish for lunch, or for Abenessen. What is Abenessen? Abenessen is dinner, for our dinner, for example. And this microplastic will create cancer to our body. So we are harvesting, quote unquote, our own behavior, unfriendly behavior towards the nature. All right, thank you again. Do you find this topic really distant from you, or do you find this topic in fact familiar? If it is familiar with you guys, I think we should again rethink, go deeper on that, because it really reflects to us for human being.
I think Vivian have a question.
Yes, please, Vivian. Please unmute and raise your question.
Okay, it's not really a question, but like an input, because
I cannot see your face, in fact.
Okay, so I think that one of the main roots of this plastic waste problems is that the top companies, like for example in Southeast Asia or in the Philippines, there are only 3 top and big companies who are producing a lot of plastic waste in our rivers. And for me, raising awareness or even practicing our own, the 3 R's is not enough because when the main problems is these big companies, which is helping or have a big role in Philippine economy, and I think one of the problems is that capitalism, because what can I say? Oh yeah, because these companies are one of their goal only is to like get income from it. And even though if we keep on practicing everything we do in order to lessen the plastic waste, is that we cannot do it is not enough, because these companies will still keep producing more plastics. And I think one of the only way is for I think is also government intervention, and really putting and really heading towards these big companies rather than just putting or just going on small scales or small movements.
Thank you, Vivian, for raising this concern. I definitely agree with you. So the problem is not only our environmentally friendly behavior, avoiding this one single bag use, disposal bag, but in fact, the very problem is the production itself. So the 3R, reduce, reuse, recycle, has been largely ignored. The first R, reduce the production. It should be, it's not only reduce the use of plastic waste, okay, but also the first one is reducing the production. And for example, because it's been a hot debate on how to handle this issue, okay, what we can do so far, maybe as an individual consumer, we what is it? We reduce our use of plastic materials to the very least, yeah, of course, to the very least. But as consumers, we also have the right. For example, if we move together, we can ban the use of plastic, or we can ban even the use, the productions of plastic. So stop producing plastic bag, for example. Okay, as a consequence, we can use this cloth for shopping, right? So it really needs a lot of work, okay? But we should also encourage scientists to invent a much more friendly product to replace this plastic, I think. So it is really a homework, a huge homework for us, everyone. Vivian, thank you so much.
Can I comment this last what you say about the science need to make more friendly technology? I mean, this also about how you invest. For example, you can say about the COVID vaccine. Normally it takes 10 years to make a vaccine, also for the normal, the bureaucracy and so on. But because there was a pandemic, so there was a shock on the economy, so all the work was stopped. They, make more faster the production of vaccine. But I mean, in terms of economy, I think this is my opinion. There is no, they don't. I mean, there is no now. Let's say who want a green policy faster. For example, you can see about why the government investment on technology for make plastic that can be destroyed after 2-3 days. I mean, there is actually this kind of plastic, but the government investment in this, because it's a they can take surplus and plus on this. So I mean, this talk about in terms of production, the capitalists that now don't want allow this, because if they want, they can do faster. Look, for example, electronic car. Who can buy electronic car? I mean, you can buy 3-4 houses in Indonesia with the same price. You can buy one electronic car. How many Indonesia can buy electronic car? 2, 3? It's very expensive. So how can you make a difference in environment if you can adjust of this, of look at, like, for example, of vegetable, bio vegetable. It's more expensive than normal vegetable, even if the production in the near place, in the near eastern, it is not take allowed for Indonesia. I mean, there is this I mean, no sense of economy about what they need to do. I mean, we need to production more friendly technology, but we don't invest in this. If we invest, we need 3, 4, or 10 years. And now we don't have 3 years for do this.
We don't have that time. We run out of time. Yeah, if business run as usual. Yes, this digital consumers really creates larger problems, because larger problems compared to our conditions in prior COVID pandemic 19. All right. Elo, we can discuss further on after we watch video. I would like to invite Kamyati to play the video. I hope it will trigger more discussions, more concern on how we should cope with the environmental crisis in Asia. Yes, Mas Alif, maybe, or and Tim, can you play the video for us?
Plastics problem made it worse.
Do you think the industry used recycling to sell more plastic?
Absolutely.
Frontline and NPR investigate the battle over plastics.
We have to manage the waste, right? We have to fix this.
And what's at stake?
For the oil and gas industry, plastic is their lifeline. This is the big war.
Now, plastic wars.
In 2015, a marine biologist came across a sea turtle in distress.
I don't want to put that too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's bleeding already. Oh, poor baby. I'm sorry. Christ, that is plástico. Oh, man. Don't tell me it's a freaking turtle. It's just freaking...
Her video of the encounter quickly went viral.
This poor sea turtle.
It would attract more than 35 million views.
A rallying cry for action.
And focus public attention on a growing problem.
That turtle video certainly did have an impact.
Plastic pollution, a planetary crisis.
Plastics in the ocean have been building up for decades.
In an underwater paradise, a plastic nightmare.
Recurring images of dead whales.
80 plastic bags found inside the whale.
Loaded have fueled a global anti-plastic movement.
Enemy number one, the plastic straw.
Many U.S. cities are taking steps to ban plastic grocery bags.
Save our Earth before it's too late!
And yet, despite the backlash, the industry that makes plastic is expanding.
The start of construction of $1 billion plastics plant.
Plentiful supplies of natural gas are driving down the cost of making plastic. The U.S. is now one of the world's largest plastic producers.
It's going to be the largest plant of its kind in the world.
An industry is investing tens of billions of dollars in new plastic plants.
Construction will eventually employ 6,000 people.
By 2050, it's estimated that global production of plastic will triple.
More plastic than ever.
I wanted to understand how we came to this moment, how the plastic industry has been able to thrive all these years in the face of a growing crisis, an opposition that's now stronger than it's ever been. For decades, the national response to the growing plastic waste problem has focused on one solution: recycling. And few places have pursued recycling more aggressively than Oregon. What we put in our recycling bins ends up in sorting plants, like this one outside of Portland.
We're actually very full right now.
This is all coming in fresh.
This is all
first
fresh.
Unload, right?
But that's what it looks like when it comes in.
Vinod Singh is the outreach manager at Far West Recycling.
Every single piece of this has to be sorted in some way.
Yeah, we have to separate paper, and then the metals, and then the plastics.
There are a lot of different kinds of plastics that have to be sorted.
And what we're doing here is we're sorting it out into the milk jug, the natural HDPE, the pigmented HDPE, PET water bottles.
They're looking for plastic.
Yeah, so all the plastic will come off before the line ends.
Some items like soda bottles and milk jugs are easier to recycle, so there's money to be made.
So this is all plastic that has a home.
But most other types of plastic are technically difficult and often costly to recycle, and that makes them nearly impossible to sell. So they keep piling up.
This is plastic that has no home.
This is plastic that has no home. So it's your clamshells, Ziploc bags, film, CD, food, like a food wrap.
In the business, they're called mixed plastics.
Now you're getting more mixed plastics, like pouches, and everything comes in a clamshell now. Like,
So if somebody throws
evolves,
their Tide bottle into their bin, that's a win.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is you're seeing more and more of this stuff.
Packaging is evolving.
Most mixed plastics end up in a place like this.
What you're seeing happening right now is that's a full size, that's probably a 53-foot trailer.
Yeah.
In Medford, Oregon, Rogue Disposal's landfill takes about 100 loads of trash a day, and more of it is plastic.
The plastic films, plastic bags, the plastic wrapping that comes around a lot of packaged goods, that all goes into the garbage. It's margarine containers. Until there is a viable option for recycling those things, we should be putting it in a landfill.
But that's not what we've been told for decades, as the things we buy have been increasingly packaged in plastic.
Are you David? I'm Laura Sullivan.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Very
too.
nice to meet you. Welcome to Portland.
David Alloway is a senior policy analyst with the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality.
So much of all this stuff in the grocery store is plastic now.
It's really inexpensive.
It's an easy way to package it.
It is, and it performs very well. It has really good engineering qualities. It protects food very well.
This is my basic question because it seems like everybody's buying lettuce in a box now. Is this recyclable?
In this state, none of this is recyclable.
Okay, what about all these? This is everywhere in every supermarket.
In Oregon, again, there are no curbside programs that would accept any of these tubs.
Okay, so this is classic when a lot of Americans do this. Look what you're doing right now.
Yep,
we
that's
flip
right.
it over.
Yep.
What are we looking at?
At the bottom of all of these plastic containers is this little chasing arrow, the little recycling symbol with a number. And the number, there's some words. It says 1 PETE. This package here is technically recyclable. You could recycle this in a lab.
Okay.
But it's not economical to recycle it given the current economics.
I wonder what's going on.
This recycled. Most. See the chasing arrows on the bottom, it says 100% recyclable. There is no program in Oregon that wants this in the curbside mix, but more than half of all people that live in the Portland area believe this belongs in the curbside container.
Well, it says it's recyclable.
It says it's recyclable, it has the recycling logo. It's very confusing to a lot of people.
This confusion about what can and can't be recycled and where plastic ultimately ends. Last year, problems we face today were set in motion decades ago by the very companies who make plastic in the first place. One family home, I found the Hagley Library. holds one of the world's largest collections of industrial history.
This is an American city, a real community of homes and homemakers like thousands of others across the nation. We call it Plastics Town, USA.
I'd come to see what its archive could tell me about the evolution of the plastic problem.
The table is set with polyethylene products, too.
America's post-war boom presented endless opportunities for this new material.
Modern-day miracles that were made with the help of petrochemical.
From packaging to clothing to home furnishings.
Very durable.
Plastic's wide-ranging applications.
Glassine, polyethylene,
promised a new world through chemistry.
Step into the world of man-made materials that take up where nature left off.
Many applications because it performed better.
That was not a trick.
It did a good job of doing what it was asked to do. It made life more efficient and easier.
But by 1970, the plastic industry would have to confront the turbulent times of America's environmental awakening.
1 in every 10 Americans took part in rallies, concerts.
Earth Day was one of the largest mass protests in U.S. history.
Oh, Earth Day was profound in terms of people waking up to the fact that we live on a finite planet. And there was a lot of concern about the trend that was happening towards a more throwaway, disposable lifestyle.
In response, many companies, including plastic makers, and even some environmentalists, got behind an iconic ad campaign that focused attention on the public's role.
And I remember being a kid and watching those ads. The most famous one with the crying Indian.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country.
He was actually Italian, dressed up like an Indian. But the fake crying Indian, the most famous one, ends with this very dramatic sentence where they say,
"Start pollution, can stop it."
People all around the country bought that line and thought it was our responsibility to take care of litter.
Americans discard more trash than any other country in the world.
While the efforts to change consumer behavior helped clean up the more visible litter problem, they did little to address the root cause.
What makes our lives convenient is burying us.
The unchecked growth in household waste.
A barge filled with garbage is causing quite an international stink.
Loaded with more than 3,000 tons of waste from New York.
By 1987, a wandering barge called the Mobro became an emblem of the growing crisis.
Greenpeace went and climbed aboard it and took a huge banner that we put on it. We said, next time, try recycling. It really became a metaphor of we are bumping up against limits here. We cannot keep continuing this mindless consumerism, mindless consumption, and dump it somewhere else.
America has a garbage problem too long ignored.
At Hagley, we found a collection of internal plastic. When the industry was in the crosshairs of the environmental movement, plastics were under attack. As we continued reporting, we found even more internal documents and court filings, and spoke with over a dozen industry insiders, including 3 top executives who represented the big plastic producers and agreed to talk publicly for the first time. Back then, one of the vice presidents at the Society of the Plastics Industry was Lou Freeman. He now heads the Environmental Coalition, but he remembers a pivotal board meeting in the late 80s when the industry was worried about its public image.
The vice president of the DuPont company pulled me aside and said, you guys better get up to Wilmington. There's dissatisfaction about what's going on with the solid waste issue. We took a trek up to Wilmington, and this one DuPont executive, he said, I think if we had $5 million, which seemed like a lot of money then.
$5 million.
If we could solve this problem.
They created the Council for Solid Waste Solutions, drawn from their ranks of big oil and petrochemical companies, Chevron, Dow, and Exxon. The group had a plan and turned to a veteran of the industry, Ron Leesmer, to execute it.
They wanted to know, was I interested in being the guy who actually made recycling happen across the U.S.?
I mean, you got handed this task
Yeah.
to recycle plastic in the United States.
In the United States. Literally, me, I had no staff, but I had millions of dollars to do what I felt was necessary.
In a highly controversial action, one county in New York State has voted to ban all packaging made of two kinds of plastic.
It was a critical moment. A growing backlash was threatening the future of plastic.
In what may be part of a national trend, the City Council of St. Paul, Minnesota, voted to outlaw the use of polystyrene plastics.
Leesmer was sent to Minnesota on an urgent mission. Brand name companies that used plastic were facing bans on their products.
There was an attitude that if your product was not recycled, then it should not be in the marketplace. So it was up to us in the plastics industry to solve them so that they could continue to package their products in plastic.
And Leesmer found a solution. To appease government officials, the industry funded a local recycling pilot project.
The industry attitude was, we'll set this up and get it going. But if
the plastic bans were averted. Do you think that they took a lesson away from how to fight the bans?
Oh, yes, it was, we need to be doing things.
Like what?
Don't wait until legislation appears.
You're saying preempted?
Yes, do it first. And we did.
Did you feel like they cared more about selling plastic than they did about making recycling work?
To keep their products in the marketplace.
It was a way to sell plastic.
Yes. It's a win-win situation. You get recycling going, that has its benefits, and it improves the image of the material.
The industry found another way to promote plastic, using recycling. Responding to pressure from states and environmentalists to better identify the many types of plastic, it created a code to tell them apart. That code was a numbering system put inside the well-known symbol for recycling, the chasing arrows. The problem, recyclers said, is that it left the impression that all those kinds of plastics were actually being recycled. Coy Smith ran recycling centers in Southern California in the 1980s and early 90s.
All right, there you are.
During that time, the plastics industry, they went around to states and they convinced those states to pass laws, and they did this very quietly. They passed laws that required that symbol with the number on it be put on plastic containers sold in that state. I mean, for most states they did it in, recyclers didn't even know it happened. And the next thing you know, all the plastic containers have these symbols on them.
Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a bad thing.
Why?
Because the average person saw the symbol, they know the symbol, and said, well, it's recyclable, right?
Got 3 arrows.
Well, like, well, all of a sudden, our own customers, they would bring it in and not only say it has the triangle, but they would flat out say, it says it's recyclable right on it. And I'd be like, I can tell you, I can't give this away. There's no one that would even take it if I paid them to take it. That's how unrecyclable it was.
Stuck with plastics they couldn't sell, Smith and other recyclers met with representatives from the plastic industry. Did you see the one?
There's my name right there.
And came up with a report identifying key problems with the numbering code.
Some firms are using it as a green marketing tool. The code is being misused.
The plastic industry that you were working with agreed to these and signed on to this report.
Did.
So they knew that these problems existed.
They knew these problems existed, absolutely.
Recyclers and the plastic makers couldn't agree on how to change the code. Industry would only switch to a triangle, which recyclers said was too similar to the chasing arrows.
Industry wouldn't even consider, say, no triangle or a circle. Or,
they didn't want to go anywhere near no triangle. We said go to a square, go to some other symbol, just not the triangle. Coming up with ways to have their product perceived as more recyclable and more environmental makes their product look better. They want to sell more plastic containers.
Recyclers also appealed to government regulators, but they sided with industry. They said that the chasing arrow symbol was okay, as long as it was small and on the bottom of packaging. What if it's got a chasing arrow sign on it and you think that means it's getting recycled?
That was one of the comments early that it implied that those products were being recycled. That wasn't the intent.
Were they misleading the public?
I don't think so, because when I looked at them, at the arrows, I thought, this is a way to identify the products so that recycling, the early stages of recycling can take place.
But even as Leesmer and his colleagues were publicly promoting recycling, privately, the industry had long expressed doubt it was ever going to happen on a broad scale. One internal document from the Society of the Plastics Industry cautioned, the techniques of cleaning and separating the mixed plastics has not been developed for large-scale economic application. Another said, there are no effects document was candid. There is serious doubt widespread plastic recycling can ever be made viable on an economic basis.
How could they go into all of these communities and tell people you just have to recycle when they knew there were so many problems and so many hurdles?
Some were very skeptical, but felt they had to do it. I think others were more hopeful. There was never an enthusiastic belief that recycling was ultimately going to work in a significant way.
Freeman's boss at the time, Larry Thomas, the head of the Society of the Plastics Industry, was blunt about it.
I was a front man for the plastics industry. No getting around it.
Thomas wouldn't sit down for an on-camera interview, but agreed to talk on the phone.
If the public thinks the recycling is working, going to be as concerned about the environment. I think they knew that the infrastructure wasn't there to really have recycling amount to a whole lot.
Thomas wrote a confidential memo in 1989 about the precarious position the industry was in. The image of plastics among consumers is deteriorating at an alarmingly fast pace, it says. We're approaching a point of no return. Business is being lost. Analysts are beginning to take notice. We must immediately undertake a major program of unprecedented proportions to reverse this fast-moving tidal wave of growing negative public perception. So the big plastic producers came up with a multi-million-dollar solution.
When you look at plastic,
Advertising.
Money, millions and millions of dollars on advertising.
Plastic also saves energy.
To tout the virtues of plastics as a way of heading off the criticism the industry was experiencing.
When we started that advertising program, I think the image of plastics was in the mid-30s. So, 30, 35% favorability.
That's pretty low.
If you're in politics, you're in deep trouble with a 35% rating.
Presenting the possibilities of plastics.
When they were running the advertising,
Very
they
much,
were not about how plastics
playing the video.
all the wonderful things that plastics bring to us.
Plastics make it possible.
The fact that you now don't have to worry about dropping a shampoo bottle that was made out of glass.
Great. Thank you so very much, Mas Talib. So everyone, we have watched a video. I hope it will trigger for our discussion. But now we should, I think, move to the breakout rooms. You have like 10 minutes or so, 12 minutes to discuss about any of your concern related to this video. Mas Alif may help to for the breakout rooms.
Yeah,
and
okay.
I hope later one speaker, one representative of the group will share their opinion on the main room.
Okay, maybe with I got message about the breakout room. Yeah, okay. Dear students, we will provide you into 7 breakout rooms as we have previously conducted before. So please keep in mind about your group. It is still same. regarding to the group we're working with. And we will actually divide it in 7 groups. Just take a minute.
Yes. Abangnya kayak kemana?
Okay, I've just made the breakfast room. You may enter the room as you were yesterday. In the room 1, rooms 2, room 3, room 4, until the room 7. Maybe I think you still remember which room you were working with your fellows. And you may have, how long with that, 10 minutes to discuss or?
Yes, 12 minutes probably.
Yeah, okay. You have 12 minutes to discuss pertaining to the video we have watched before. Please just discuss your opinion, your perspective in your particular field of study. Just elaborate them all together and bring it up on the table and present them into the class after we have discussion. You may choose your own, take your own on the right video. Please, maybe I will set you for a little. For room 1, is there a student from room 1 who did not join yet? Okay, maybe Muhammad Akbar Raihan. You may assist and move into the breakout room. Please, somebody who did not join yet to the room may assist. Vela Vidya Frefish, sorry. Which group you're working on? You may please join the room we have made for you by clicking on the right side of the Zoom for meetings optional button. We have the room 2 and there's no student join yet to the room. Just so please, Khalda Sabila, Elis Riani, and Aryan Prasetyawan to join the group and make a discussion. In group 6, I see Ivana Etiara. You may join to the room 6, and also Marisa Artanova. You may please join to the room 6 along with Mbak Aning Tri Sulistiani. Yeah, please, maybe Kalda Salsabila from room 2. You can hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, Kalda Salsabila. You may join the room 2, right?
Yeah.
And Arya Prasatyawan, are you there? You may join the room 2. We have already set you so you can accept the invitation and directly join to the room 2. Yeah. Ivana, sorry, Ivana, can you hear me? Oh, Vivian, I'm sorry. I see your fellows did not join the room, right? Aryan and Fembri Resdivianti, can you hear me? Two of you, both of you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Which group were you working with your fellows?
Group 4.
Group 4. Okay, you may join group 4 for now, please. Have you been assessed or not yet? I think you have been assessed.
But it's group 6, I think. So I leave the breakout room.
Yeah,
Can you
okay.
make me join to group 4, please?
Okay, I may accept it, right? Just accept the invitation. Just a minute. Okay, please accept the invitation. Family, I have accepted you to the room 4.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. You're welcome. And the next, Aryan Pusetiawan, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear.
Yeah. So, which group are you working with?
I'm group 2, Mister. I'm
Okay, okay.
sorry.
Okay, you may join directly to the room 2, right? We have already assist you to the room 2.
Okay.
Okay, and then next, Ivana. Maybe Ivana, can you hear me? Balik ke room. So Ivana, I think you in the group. Sorry, from 6, I mean. So can you hear me, Ivana?